on things that are more rational now.
I mean, I try to show the
People don't
conservative
understand that
point of view and an
sometimes, you know.
open-minded liberal point of view. I try to show both sides and see how, a lot of times a contradiction needs to exist for the whole. The opposites exist for a reason. If it was all one way, you wouldn't get the benefit of other ways of thinking. So yeah, I'm not trying to tell people what to think, but it does show points. By asking interesting philosophical questions, I'm allowed to show in different contrasting conversations and dialogue different points of view, and to make a philosophical commentary about the hypocrisy of society in a hypothetical science fiction environment. That's what the whole point of my book is.
So why science fiction?
Well, because I've always been interested in science fiction. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. I mean, it gives you interesting ways to look at, I think, Final Frontier actually is space. I mean, we have evolved tremendously technologically, but who's to say at one point we might have been influenced by aliens? I'm not exactly completely subscribing to Scientology, but
Stonehenge.
I do believe...
I mean, there's a lot of, different weird things on the Earth. It's like, how did this happen?
And so fast, in such a short period of time, and evolved technologically. Within the past 100 years, we've evolved so much more technologically than compared to the past several thousands. And it makes you wonder if there was some sort of alien intervention, or what caused that, or maybe throughout years of DNA, one of us might have evolved from different kinds of alien. An alien might have crashed here, or integrated the species. And it just gives you freedom to think about all sorts of different philosophical ideas.
And then, because that leads into my thought, as far as a philosophy I've thought of fondly of, infinity is absolute to me, so as long as space goes on and on and on, and we are here, we are existing, we are life, then that deposits that same probability of life throughout the entire eternal universe. So I'm positive that there's aliens.
They say statistically, every star you see is another sun. Every sun could be another center of another solar system.
Exactly.
How many planets do we have around our sun? We have at least how many?
It all makes
sense. It could be
sense.
just as many
and
planets around the other sun.
I think that in levels, I don't think we're the most underdeveloped. I think that we're, a little bit developed, but I think that there's other more perfect societies that have thought rationally and got places, whereas here it's more of a humanistic, I guess, how we evolved, the things that make us humans, our desires, our instincts. Our instincts are what make us who we are, but they also denigrate.
Well, you can't, basically you have to...
Because look at the corporate fascism. Okay, social Darwinism, that's how things work. Well, that's how our economics have worked. And
that's why you need to reward people for their skills instead of just how much money they make.
Yeah, exactly, because that's where
they don't reward people for intelligence.
It's how can we sells and what's mass produced
and the same old conformity, mass production.
Industrialization.
Industrialization has kind of taken away a lot of the creative aspects of society.
Because there used to be masters of their trades. There used to be guilds. There used to be metal workers, glass workers. There would be people that make clothes, and that would be how a community set up. Skilled tradesmen.
Yeah, I've even read a quote from Albert Einstein that said,
who were barbers.
One of the drawbacks of modern times is that we reward the logical and the measurable technology, and we ignore the spirituality quality of human essence. For him, he's so mathematical and logical. For him to say that we're losing the value of the human spirit, which is more infinite than we just only reward the logical, technological skills instead of other aspects of human.
Yeah, and I think that's so true with now this generation, especially with the phone addiction. It's rewarding.
Just because it's new doesn't mean it's always better. You don't have to have a cell phone. I exist perfectly fine with a landline phone. It's just constantly trying to get you to commodify and buy into more and more. And the point where you decide what's important is you keep trying to be materialistic.
Yeah. Well, and it leads you away from creative ideas. That's all,
Yeah.
I think that people can use time in ways that it benefits themselves in some way and not to where it denigrates. And I think obviously you were a good product of that era. It's interesting to see now people of my generation that are just so widely uncreative.
Thanks. I don't want to stereotype an entire generation, though. I don't want to make generalizations.
Not an entire generation.
Every individual is different. Every different person is a different alternate reality.
Yes.
Everyone's perception determines reality, and it's all different. But that's why I like contemplating ideas like this, because it's kind of inspired me to write this book.
Yeah.
So I can't help but be creative. I've been writing ever since I was in high school, even when I didn't have to do things for assignments. Even outside of class, I'd rather be working on artistic projects and writing. They didn't necessarily have to do with class because it gave me more artistic freedom to explore other ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'd use things I created outside of class turn them in for class and get a better grade.
So this is what
that
you
way.
did, like outside of class in high school, and in your
Sometimes-
free time you would.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
because that's interesting. Most kids are just caught up with, okay, what friend am I hanging out with, and
I prefer to be
I
creative.
prefer, yeah,
hang out with
exactly,
people,
the
but
mind,
Instead of going out and playing sports or going out to the bars or what people do for fun, I would like to stay home and record a song on a guitar or work on a piece of artwork. I mean, and that's what I would just do for fun. And it got to the point, the more practice, by default, you can't help but learn more about it. I mean, I learned about music a lot from people that were music students when I went to college, and I always thought video production was a good way to combine artistic and musical ideas. In a way,
it's audio
to
and
combine
visual.
all the
It's a
different
good-
things that I'm wanting to do, instead of just being limited to just writing by itself or art. Sometimes things separately but by themselves don't get attention as much as if you collaborate and combine a lot of different ideas.
Yeah. So let's talk about your book a little bit. Where did you get? Where did the gnomes first derive from?
I've always drawn gnomes in my paintings. Friends of mine called me the Gnome King as my nickname since I was in college. I think way back, even when I've just been interested in imaginary, kind of different worlds, and I mean gnomes it's just kind of stuck as a nickname.
Yeah.
I draw a lot of gnomes in my paintings, but
Okay.
again, I like to draw portraits of people and friends. I'd imagine different worlds where there might be a planet of the gnomes. But there could be infinite amounts of different planets. Like you said, every sun could be the center of another solar system, and however many planets around that. There could be insects that are aliens. There could be different kinds of life forms that evolve to intelligent levels.
Mm-hmm.
Besides gnomes, and maybe that's where they got the idea, from parallel universes in different dimensions, or ghosts even.
Mm-hmm.
They exist in a different dimension that's superimposed across this plane, almost, like the afterlife. Nobody really knows what exactly is in outer space, or how to define the afterlife, or infinity, or how matter is created or destroyed, or never really. It's just recycled and transformed. So it's interesting to speculate, and you can't really. I mean.
See, that's my transcendentalism.
It's hard to be proved.
It's like, material physically recycles, but then also I think spirits of the body, like how the body comes about in the world through the mind, I think that also recycles into a new living thing. That's my view. Is
and that's
like
a lot of the reason
the
for
recycling of the spirits of this reality and how
And that's a good reason for
shifts.
religion. A lot of people need faith to believe in, what comforts them, for the afterlife. There's no, I mean, I think there's a good reason. Religion is also for morals. I mean, there's a good reason.
I don't think it's egotistical. I don't think that the ego survives the recycling. I think it's more of like the existing part of
the metaphysical.
It's like it's not a physical. There's not a physical recycling of the soul, but it's the components that make that soul.
That's where the word metaphysical comes in.
Metaphysical, yeah.
It's interesting that they refer to space as the heavens back then.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really just says a lot in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
If space is like the heavens, that is maybe why we aren't allowed to see what lies beyond a certain point of infinity, because we weren't meant to in this physical existence until we transcend into a different dimension and more infinite. Like the afterlife could be a whole other metaphysical world.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. You have like certain Earth aspects to the. Like it says that writer Jack Kerouac, a famous writer, he's in this alien world, which I thought was kind of funny.
Jack Kerouac.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because it might have influenced. It's about a futuristic colony on another planet that was sent there almost like a prison colony from Earth. So certain aspects of Earth's history and culture had evolved and been transcended, carried over to this other planet. But then, there are also aliens there, and the prisoners break free and create, anarchy happens, and then they, through anarchy, have to create their own government, and then society has evolved past the point where that's, ancient Earth history, but it's also a part of the Earth culture as much as it is, and then there's also alien.
So it's a similar, even though it's different from Earth, it's a similar struggle,
Well, it kind of,
how do you set up the relationships between
Well, to evolve, we'll have to eventually find another planet to live on anyway. I mean, in 5 billion years, the sun's going to swallow up the Earth and explode into a black hole, which is interesting to see. You know, even a black hole supposedly just rips away all existence. I don't know if it leads to a parallel universe or if it's like a vacuum. It just
that's the most. It might be the most. It might be the
nothing?
most interesting thing the most interesting phenomena. It brings up a lot of different thoughts because like what happens in that point of singularity? Is that point of singularity even of this reality? Is it of this reality, but it just is the ultimate destroyer? And now, if it is destroying, it can't just annihilate.
Well,
something
can
just be annihilated?
Like you're asking the question I asked in my book: is there such a thing as nothingness, or is nothing something?
Yeah.
Is a black hole even nothing? Is something? Does it lead to somewhere, or is it just it's like ripping the fabric of space?
Yeah.
Does it just basically destroy everything in its path?
But how does that even work?
How
could something physical destroy time and space?
Because it rips a hole, Einstein would have to explain it. It rips a hole in the fabric of space and time so deep that it sucks everything in through the vacuum that light can't even escape. It's like an incredibly powerful force.
Yeah,
more powerful than any
also,
atomic bomb it could be invented. It's electromagnetic force to the extent where nature cannot be controlled. I mean, it's an interesting point too that nature could be more destructive than mankind's inventions in some ways.
Yeah.
So we have to learn to either evolve throughout. Adapt, find another planet to live, maybe not find another planet to conquest, but at least another planet to move to before, we have to adapt to our natural surroundings, and space is just as much as a part of our environment as the Earth.
Just in the same way, humans eventually will be extinct completely,
That's no reason to give up on trying to evolve and perpetuate and and preserve what we've learned so far and continue to
I think the biggest thing is as you do, I think, is the mind, taking your own purpose. I've benefited tremendously from Sartre, more of like a existentialist view, where, you make your own reality, and then the short life you live, how can I evolve, myself and humanity, and leave my impact on the world through my mind. And I think...
that's definitely, I think, it's up to everyone to find their purpose.
It's up to the creativity, though, and not just the routine and not just the specifics of your life. It's more about, how are you going to leave your mark, and I think that has to come through everyone individually in their own way,
Yeah, but I think people remember more for if it's not just, like you said, egotistical, how you leave your own mark, but how you help others and make an impact and actually influence on other people. People tend to remember things that are more beneficial, that are helpful to society, that also affects everyone else, not just you. I mean, we all, kind of have to learn to coexist in this world, make it a better place while we're here in this limited time. I think instead of just giving up out of frustration, it is more difficult to sift through the frustrating pressures of survival to be able to contribute to society. But why not try to make the world a better place in the limited time we're here, instead of just... We've lived this long, there's no reason to say we won't be here even longer.
Yeah. I think it's totally possible. I think it just takes organization and rationality, but...
Yeah.
Hey.
And also maybe a little creativity.
Yeah, there you go. So... Well,
we're going to have to pause for a station identification.
Yeah, we will be right back after station
after
identification.
These messages, we'll be right back.